Hello viewers, I remain Beatrice Christopher from Statistics Scribe. God's willing, in this tutorials I'm going to show you how to perform one-way analysis of variance, also known as one-way Anova in R, using R Studio as an IDE. Okay, so quickly I have a hypothetical data to work on. This is the data we're working on. This is assumed to be the test scores of students in a test with maximum obtainable score of 10. So using teaching method A, a student scored 7, another 8, 6, all out of 10, while method B, we have a score of 6, 9, 7, 8, and 5 out of 10 respectively. Using method C, we have a score of 8, 5, 3, and 9 out of 10 respectively. So if you observe here, the number of replications are not equal. Here is 3, here is 5, and here is 4. Okay, so quickly remember, you can actually enter your data in either row wise or column wise, or at random. Maybe let's say 9 first, before 3, and before 8, and before 8 here, and maybe before 5 here. But you have to be very careful in that case, because you need to know where each teaching method or column every observation belongs to. Okay, so to play safe, we recommend using either row wise or column wise entry approach. Okay, so for the sake of these tutorials, I'm going to use column wise. Maybe in two-way analysis of variance or two-way ANOVA, I'm going to use the row wise approach, so you know that you can use either of it or any of the three. Okay, so quickly, using column wise, I'm going to define my variable, and my variable in this case is scores. Now scores, my variable, assigning it, you have to concatenate it as usual. So it means the first score I have is 786, then you enter it in your R. So as you can see here, let me show you, I'm using R Studio as an IDE for R. Okay, so quickly let me go back here. So I have the first column here, I have 786 column wise, right? So I have 7 comma 8 comma 6 comma, then you go to column 2. On column 2 we have 6 all through 5, right? So I have 6 comma 9 comma 7 comma 8 comma 5. Okay, then comma, then for column 3 we have from 8 down through 9. If you permit me, also we have 8 comma 5 comma 3 comma 9, right? So we are through with the dependent variable, which is scores. Okay, so you press enter key on your keyboard, which will take you to line 2. Okay, so I have line 2 here. The next thing I need to have is my factor, and in this case my factor is teaching method. So you can call it method, anything you want to call it. You can give it TM, whatever it is you want to call it, just make sure you know what it means. So in this case, I'd like it to be this teaching underscore method. So I have teaching method, your assignment operator as usual. Then in this case, my teaching method is a factor, so I need to declare it as a factor. Okay, else you'll get a wrong thing. Okay, because it is incomplete in this case. So quickly, I have as dot factor. That means I'm telling R that teaching method is a factor. As dot factor, open bracket, this is the function now. Okay, so as dot factor, I'm saying is as dot factor, then you concatenate it. Now the next thing is you check. Now assigning codes to each of this teaching method, A falls under column 1, B column 2, C column 3. So it means I can call A as 1, B as 2, and C as 3. Okay, so if you observe, since we entered our data in column wise, it means 7 falls under column 1, 8 under column 1, and 6 under column 1, which is teaching method A. Okay, so it means the codes for each is 1, 1, 1. The first one is for 7, second one is 8, and the last but 1 is for 6. Okay, then going to column 2 here, we entered 6, through 5, and the observations we have are 5 here for this column. So it means we have 2, 2, 2 in 5 places, right? So the same thing here, meaning I have 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, comma. For column 3, I have 8 through the 9, as you can see here, and it's 4. So it means I have 3 in 4 places. The same thing, column 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, right? So I've entered my data. Now, since I've entered the data, permit me to expand or maximize my window here. I only splitted the screen so you can see the data I'm working on, okay? So I'm maximizing it now. Here I have this. So all I have to do here is we have different ways of running the analysis at this point. I can actually use the AOV function, and also I can use the LM function alongside the Anova function. So beginning with the AOV function, so all I have to do is, since I have teaching method, all I need to do is I can summarize it once at a go. For example, I can use summary function. This is the summary function, and I'll use a composite function, that is the AOV function inside the summary function. So I will say AOV of, so this is analysis of variance function, AOV of what? Dependent variable is scores, AOV of scores, tilde, okay? This tilde sign, let me show you the sign so you won't make mistake in typing it. This is the tilde sign. Can you see it here? Tilde sign. So let me maximize back. So tilde sign, that means scores on the factor we have is teaching method, because it's one way, it's just a single factor. Teaching method. Since you have it here, you can click on it. If you don't have it on yours, you just enter, but obviously you have it if you're using RStudio, because it can help you in recalling what you've entered. So I have teaching method, okay? And the next thing is you hit enter on your keyboard. That's all. You can select your lines of codes, the lines of codes you want to run. At this point, you can either click on the run here, observe it has run it for us, or you press your command enter for Mac users or control enter for PC users, as follows. See the same thing again. I have it. So there are different ways of running the codes. Observe, this is a one-way analysis of variance table, okay, for teaching method. And this is another one-way analysis of variance table. Same output, okay, different approaches. So let's say I want to separate this. I don't want to run it as a composite function. So permit me to copy the data. Copying the data, let me use maybe line 5. I've pasted my data. You go to the next line. Let's say I want to contain the AOV function in a variable, okay? So let's say the variable is two-way Anova, then assignment operator, then the function is AOV of the dependent variable is scores, assignment scores, then your tilde sign, scores on what? Teaching method. So you can click on it. So it means what I'm doing here is I'm assigning AOV function here, the whole of this function, to a variable, right? So I'm putting it in a variable container. So the next thing I need to do is use my summary function. This time around, I'm not using AOV in summary. I'm using the variable name, and the variable name is two-way Anova. So two-way. So since I have it here, I can just click it to be fast. So I have two-way Anova, okay? So I can run it now. You can actually run it. Make your selection, run, or use command enter or control enter, depending on the machine you are using. Observe, the answers are all the same also, okay? So I hope you're grabbing what I'm doing. So like I said, I'm going to show you another method. The second method I'd like you to know is using the LM function and Anova function. LM means linear model. So permit me also to copy paste my data set. So the data I have here is scores to teaching method, and I trust that you understood how we got all this. So at this point, you can just hit your enter key. Now you can either solve it compositely or individually. Okay, so let's say I want to solve it compositely. That's a function in another function. So let's say I want to solve it directly. It means I'll use Anova as my function with linear model function in it, which is LM function. LM linear model of what? Dependent variable is scores. So you can see scores on using my tilde teaching method, which is my factor, right? Teaching method. Let me just type it this time around in place of selecting it. Teaching method. Okay, so it means I'm running analysis of variance of scores on teaching method. So you can just select what you want to run, and you can hit on command enter or control enter depending on the machine you're using. So this time around, let me just click on the run button. Observe again, the answers are also the same, all the same. Okay, so in the same manner, let's say you don't want to solve it compositely, you want to solve it individually, that step by step. So all you have to do is you enter your data as usual, but since I've entered it already, let me just copy and paste it. Let's say here in line 20. So you hit enter key. All you have to do is you have to create a variable, okay, for the linear model function. Okay, so this time around, let's say I want to call it two-way Anova defined by LM, which is linear model function of what? Scores on teaching method, right? Scores on teaching method. This is a variable I've just created. Then the next thing you need to do is use the Anova function. Anova of, this time around, it's not Anova of LM's this, no, but it's Anova of two-way Anova, because the LM now has been assigned a variable. Okay, and the variable is two-way Anova. That's the variable name. So this time around, I have two-way Anova. Remember, in R is case sensitive. Okay, and all functions must contain lowercase. Okay, all functions are in lowercase in R, else you have an error code. Okay, so that's all for that. As you can see, it's correct. So I want to run the code. Observe again here, the answers will still be the same. So this time around, I'm using command enter. If you're a PC user, you can use control enter or come to run here. I'm just trying to toggle around, toggling over each of the methods so you know how to. Command enter. You see, the outcome is still the same. You see it here. Remember, like I said, you can actually type in everything in the R console. You'll still get the same thing. So let's assume I want to use the R console. All I have to do is you type in. So let's assume I type this, you hit enter to save it. And the next thing is maybe your teaching method. I'm just copying it to save time. You paste it, then you hit enter to save it. And the next thing is your Anova. Copy it, you paste. Now observe, once I hit on the enter key, all what you see is the output, because this is R console. Now I'm using R console, not R script. Okay, now in R script you can be saving it and you run the selection together, but here it saves everything a step at a time. So here, once I press enter key, you see this is my output, and the output is still the same as the others. You can apply this throughout all the work, but it's easier for you to do that on R script so that you can easily see your error and retrace it back and you can easily share it, your source file here. Okay, you can actually share your source file to others to see how you perform analysis, right? So I hope you like this video. Kindly like, share, subscribe, hit on the notification bell for more updates. Trust me, our tutorials are straightforward.